In this lesson, I'll tell you about User Coordinate System or UCS. AutoCAD drawings can only be made on a single XY plane, and in order to make your drawings on planes other than XY, you need to change the UCS. For example, in this case, we have this drawing and we have here XY plane represented by this User Coordinate System. Now, let's say that we want to create a new drawing. For that, let's start with draw command and let's try to make it. You'll now notice that I am only able to make this drawing on the XY plane. Now, even if I try to make my drawing on a vertical plane, so let's start from the same point. I'm going to turn on this object snap in order to snap it exactly at a point. And now, even when I try to move my cursor upwards, it's still snapping to this XY plane. So no matter how hard I try, it will always make your drawing on the XY plane. Now, in order to create your drawing on planes other than XY, we have two options: either use coordinate system or use dynamic UCS. So I'll explain dynamic UCS first. For using dynamic UCS, go to the command line and click on this dynamic UCS status bar icon. If you are not able to find this dynamic UCS icon, then click on this customize button and make sure this dynamic UCS is selected from this list. Now, here we have this dynamic UCS turned on. Now let's start with the rectangle command again, and this time I'll move my cursor to the already existing geometry. So here we have this 3D drawing. I'll move my cursor to this plane, and when I move it, you'll notice that the plane becomes highlighted. And now if I try to make the drawing, it will be drawn on that plane. Similarly, if I select this rectangle and I go to this plane, then that plane will be highlighted and the drawing will be made on that particular plane. Even for this slant plane, we can make it on this exact plane by using dynamic UCS. So in this way, we can take reference of existing 3D geometries and we can make drawings using dynamic UCS. Now, what if we are not able to create 3D geometries, or in situations where we have a completely blank drawing area where we don't have any 3D geometry? In those cases, we can use coordinates. So now let's say that we want to make our drawing on YZ plane. Now we can clearly see that YZ plane is also the left plane according to this view cube. So from this drop down, click on this left, and now you'll notice that UCS will change to XY towards left, and now whatever drawing you'll make, it will be made on that plane. To return back to the original UCS configuration, click on this world icon. So this will take your UCS back to the original world UCS system. Now, what if we want to make our drawing on this plane, which is exactly the front plane? For that, we can again go to this drop down and change it to front. And now when you make your drawing, it will be drawn only on the front plane, even if you don't select any plane for reference. So in this way, you can change different planes of the drawing using user coordinate system. We also have one more method of changing the planes. So let's remove these two geometries, and also let's turn off this dynamic UCS. Now let's say that I want to make my drawing on this slant plane. For that, let's first go to this world UCS to get back the original configuration, and now click on this drop down. From this drop down, we have some options here. So first, let's select this face option and click on the face which you want to make as the default face. So here we have it, and press enter. And here we have this plane selected. Now, when you try to make any geometry, you'll notice that it will be made exactly on that plane using the view option. You can also change this view from this slant one to something else. So let's say that we again want to change this view, and we now want to make this as the current view. So let's select it and press enter. Now the view has been selected, and if you try to make our geometry, it will be made exactly on that view. Now, in order to change our view with respect to any 2D plane or 2D object, we can select this object option. So if you select object, then command line will prompt you to specify a 2D object, and the plane will align according to the object. So right now, once again, the plane is aligned to the plane on which this object is drawn, and we can again make our drawing exactly on that plane like this. Now we can make our drawing on different planes And we can also make drawing on the same plane but on different parallel planes. For example, let's say that we want to make a circle on this plane and also on a plane which is exactly at this point. For that, we can first move our plane. So let's click here and select face and select this face and press enter. Now our drawing will be made on this face. So let's try to make a circle here. So I'll zoom in this area and I'll make a circle here. Now what if we want to make our circle another one on the plane which is exactly opposite to this geometry, and which is right here? So for that, we don't need to select this plane again. We can directly move this UCS. For moving UCS, click on this origin and now click at any point on this plane. And here we have the UCS. Now if you try to make a geometry, it will exactly be made on the plane which we have selected here. So in this way you can move your UCS also. And now if you try to move your UCS further, let's say that we moved it to this point and you try to make a circle, now it will be made exactly at that place. Even if you try to make it at any point, it will exactly be made on that plane, and when you orbit it will show the change. So you can now see that it's exactly made on the plane which we have selected. Now let's erase both of these geometries. We can also save our user coordinate system and we can bring it back whenever required. For example, here we have this slant plane. We can create a XY plane on this slant plane and we can save it for our future reference. For that, go to this view cube and click on this small down pointing arrow and select new UCS. Now click at a point and now specify the X and Y coordinates. So this will be the X coordinate and this will be the Y. And here we have it. Now the plane completely aligns with this aligned plane. And if you want to save this configuration, click on this named UCS button. Now here we have this unnamed. Let's double click and give it a name. So here we have this custom UCS and click on OK. And now our UCS is saved. Now even if you change it to world coordinate system, our custom UCS will remain and we can get back to that whenever required. So in this way you can create multiple UCS system and that system will always be visible here in this coordinate list as well. So this was all about UCS or user coordinate system. In the next lesson, I'll tell you about moving, rotating and changing the scale of an object in 3D using gizmos.